Welcome into the Fantasy Football Forge. My name is Steve. Wide receiver video went a little bit longer than hoped, so let's fly through this running back video as quickly as possible. A couple of quick show notes. First of all, you can find all of my rankings and the projections that you can see on the screen here. The complete running back rankings, for instance, will only be going over the top 30-ish in this video, 31 maybe. And there are more ranked, of course, and it's all up on the website, www.thefforge.com, link down in the description, and a little bit is above me as well. You can see the website in this video. Currently, I am not ranking James Conner. He has been, he's eligible to return, so we will see. He may return this week. It's looking possible, and I am also ranking Khalil Herbert. I think it is, I think at this point it's expected that he will be playing this weekend, a little bit more once we get to him and Deonta Foreman. I do just want to quick remind you that you can also come and visit me live on tonight, 45 minutes prior to kickoff for the Thursday night game, and then 1 hour and a half prior to the main slate of games on Sunday, available live here on YouTube for your start-sit questions. Now let's recap those Week 9 choices of mine. I didn't think anybody was worth paying up for, which I think kind of ended up being pretty true. But I thought Jonathan Taylor and Breece Hall were both good prices at $6,600, $6,300 respectively. And JT ended as the RB7, so he was definitely a good value. And Breece Hall ended up as the RB23, so not so great there. For my big tournament long shot, it was Roschon Johnson, so that was a big nope. And then Royce Freeman was another long shot that I thought might be worth, just taking a shot on. And that was also a big nope. For my fades, we have Darrell Henderson and Aaron Jones. Darrell Henderson ended up as the RB38, so good job there. Aaron Jones, my opinion did change throughout the week. Basically, once the head coach said that they were ready to unleash him, like last week Friday or something, my tone changed on Aaron Jones. And so he was a top 10 running back. I was wrong on him being a fade, but yeah, we take news as we get it throughout the week as well and adjust. And for my Love'ems, Zach Moss and Gus Edwards, I gave you, and Zach Moss as the RB49. That did not work at all, and I apologize to anybody who I suggest playing him. I think there were a couple of people who asked about playing him, and I'm pretty sure I suggested him in most scenarios. And then Gus Edwards ended as the RB7, so I got lucky there. And all in all, about 50-50 on the running backs. Let's move on to the Week 10 rankings. And the running backs are pretty straightforward this week. I don't think there's a whole lot of surprises. So we are starting off with a big fat must-start tier for my tier 1. No, it's not a perfect group. There are still some issues within this tier. Breece Hall has a crap O-line, which is concerning for him and creating space for him to get out and get loose. David Montgomery is coming back to a possibly lessened workload. We don't know exactly how that will look. Guys like Josh Jacobs and Barkley will be focuses of good defenses, so that could limit their upsides. Pollard and Bijan have been disappointments to their fantasy owners thus far in the season, even though I believe both of them are in some decent matchups. And Aaron Jones appears to have turned a corner. Fingers crossed that continues to go forward. Nonetheless, you're going to start these guys. We got Christian McCaffrey as my RB1, followed by Austin Eckler, Alvin Kamara, Travis Etienne Jr., Breece Hall, Jonathan Taylor, David Montgomery, Josh Jacobs, Saquon Barkley, Derrick Henry, Tony Pollard, Joe Mixon, Bijan Robinson, and Aaron Jones. And there you go, sneak peek at my second tier, which starts off with Javonte Williams and goes on down to my running back 23, Javonte in as my running back 15. He is a love-em for me. I almost wanted to go with no love-ems or fade-ems this week. I don't really like to pick love-ems or fade-ems in that first tier since they are must-starts. In my opinion, it wouldn't really make sense to give them those tags. But it was by an absolute hair that I don't have Javonte Williams in that first tier. It's just that it's not a great matchup going up against Buffalo, but running backs have found success against Buffalo, so I do think that there's going to be an opportunity there. And Javonte has taken the reins of that backfield. It looks like it will continue to look like that going forward. Running back 16, we have Rachaad White. Originally, I had him ahead of Javonte Williams, who just missed out on the first tier, to give you an idea of how I view him this week. Close to a must-start. It is a below-average matchup for him as well, going up against Tennessee. And he has 4+ targets in his last 4 games ever since the bye week, so that is a good thing. Then we have Kenneth Walker at running back 17. Washington is an average matchup. So far on the season, Kenneth Walker is my equalized value EV running back 19 on the season. That's just like average fantasy points per week, except it does take into consideration consistency of the player. The big knock to Walker and why I don't have him higher up, despite being in an okay matchup, is the fact that his recent usage has not been great. He's been on the field for less than 50% of snaps as of the previous 2 weeks coming into this weekend, so that's a disturbing trend for his owners. Then we have Jahmyr Gibbs in at running back 18, and we can't know what this backfield will look like for sure going forward. Even if Gibbs goes back to his pre-injured Montgomery role and nothing more, this is supposed to be the highest scoring game of the week. At least I think that it has a good chance of being the highest scoring game of the week. So there should be plenty of opportunity for Jahmyr Gibbs this week to produce. Then at running back 19, I have Ramondre Stevenson, and I'd be more concerned about him. But Indianapolis Colts, the matchup this week, is the fourth best running back matchup that you can get in terms of average fantasy points scored against them. And running back 20, we have Brian Robinson. It's a plus matchup for him. The biggest concern is the Vegas line. It's a +6 Vegas line on him, meaning that they're expected to be playing from behind fairly heavily, which obviously would not be good for the running game. However, I do want to say that I do disagree with that line. It is a little bit concerning that that is how Vegas felt about this game, but I think Washington should be able to hang in there with Seattle just fine. Running back 21, we have Jerome Ford, and obviously he is a fade of mine. The good here is that, as suspected last week, Ford went back to his normal role. He had a 64% snap share, so that's very good. The bad this week is that he's going up against Baltimore, which is a bottom 10 running back matchup. And so what I am expecting from Jerome Ford is essentially his normal high usage for this team, but low efficiency, which is never great. And, the touchdown's pretty iffy. Then we have James Cook at running back 22, and if you have him, you know why he is ranked at the running back 22 spot, despite being in a good matchup against Denver. He has been the EV running back 27 on the season, so it has not been too pretty for his owners. And at running back 23, we have Alexander Mattison, another fade for me, very similar to Jerome Ford. It's not a great matchup, fifth worst running back matchup, and so I think he'll get the volume, obviously. Ty Chandler is now the backup to him, but I don't know about the efficiency for him. That's going to bring us to our last tier 3 for the running backs. And these are, generally speaking, these guys are all like high-end guys who are in splits, but they also have good matchups going for them. I expect some of them to outscore some of the guys who I have ranked higher, but the question is who, or like which one, because a lot of times there's a pair to these guys who is also going to be taking some of the carries, and so they're in situations that are just a little bit rocky. So running back 24, we have Gus Edwards. It's the fourth worst matchup for him going up against Cleveland. He is just on the edge of being in that the tier ahead of this, and he doesn't really fit the description I just gave for it. My other issue with Gus Edwards and why he's not a tier ahead is because he's in a possible three-headed backfield as well as being in that bad matchup. Then Deonta Foreman is my running back 25, and looking at him and Khalil Herbert, both Chicago running backs, essentially what I did with my projections on Tuesday, I did my projections, and I gave them like 60% of the work, which has usually been the Khalil Herbert or the Deonta Foreman role, and then I split Roshan into his normal role. Basically gave these guys a 50-50 split of that normal Deonta Foreman, Khalil Herbert role. And the good thing for my projections is that I have since heard that somebody close to the team says that is what we should expect. It's not my source. I've just heard somebody say that. And so that would work well for what I was expecting to happen this week. And so why do I end up having Deonta Foreman over Khalil Herbert, and why is he the guy who gets my love here between the two? First of all, they're in a really, really good matchup, so they could both produce, but also one of them could absolutely go off. That's kind of the hot hand effect. I think if either one of them gets the hot hand, it's more likely to be Deonta Foreman in this game, Khalil Herbert's first game back. I do expect Khalil Herbert to be the quote-unquote starter to get the first carry of the game, but I ultimately expect them to split drives. Every other drive, the other one goes in, and once again, maybe a hot hand approach takes over at some point in the game. Also, Khalil is still not at 100% health, so that could limit him a little bit, especially in terms of efficiency. And Deonta Foreman projected better at the end of the day anyways, so that is why I have Deonta Foreman ahead of Khalil Herbert this week. I think we'll probably change that next week, hopefully regardless of the results from this week, but we'll see. Then at running backs 27 and 28, I also have another pair here, Najee Harris, Jalen Warren, Pittsburgh running backs back-to-back, and they're not a great rushing duo. They are the EV running backs 34 and 32 on the season so far, but Green Bay is a plus matchup, and so you can see even the heating gauge here, or the player temperature gauge, is in the slight red for them. I think it's a good opportunity for one or both of them to have, better games than average for them. Chuba Hubbard is my running back 29, and I would be higher on him, but head coach Frank Wright has consistently talked about not giving up on Miles Sanders and specifically said that they would be splitting the workload this coming week. So I split the workload between him and Miles Sanders, with Blackshear working in. So it's a good matchup. I think, Chuba Hubbard's still the lead guy by a little bit, but not by much. And so that is why I have Chuba up here, and Miles Sanders did not make this tier. And then Tyler Algier, running back 30, and he's just a Gabe Davis-esque kind of running back in a sense this year. You really never know what you're going to get, which week you're going to get it, how to anticipate which week you're going to get it. But the best way to anticipate it is good matchups for the guys. And this week, Tyler Algier will be seeing Arizona. It is a top 3 running back matchup. So it's a good week for me to have to play him with the million guys that I have on bye. Now, let's go to my DFS buys of the week. And I do think that if you want to pay up for somebody, you're going to want to pay up all the way for Christian McCaffrey at $9,200. I think he could be worth every penny, given some of the tougher matchups for some of the other guys a ways down in terms of the most costly running backs. At a good price, I think Aaron Jones at $6,500 fits the bill. Pittsburgh is a plus matchup, and he is what makes this offense, quote-unquote, roll the best that it can. So I think that he is in line to have another good day. Contrarian play. Kenneth Walker will probably be overlooked at $6,800. He's got guys like Breece Hall, Jonathan Taylor, who are priced just a little bit less than that, and then David Montgomery and Josh Jacobs are names right behind him, so I think he could be the forgotten man in between them. Then for a big tournament long shot, we got Jalen Warren at 5,000 DK bucks, and it's really just not hard for me to picture him breaking a big run against my Green Bay defense. Very possible. So that is it for the running backs. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments. I will get to them as soon as possible. Peace out.